Hello, and good day, Vardenfell, and beyond. Welcome back to the MOMW stream. Hopefully you can hear me. Hopefully it's not too choppy. It kind of looked a little... There we go. That's better. Yeah, welcome back. After a short break, we are back, and I've got a laundry list of things I want to go through today. Hey, all right, Gonzo. Thank you for the heads up on that. Let's do the adjust my audio game here. How about now? Is this okay? Gain's up a little bit higher, but hopefully not too much. Awesome. Settiness, hey. How's it going? Glad to see you here. Hopefully you hear me now. I think it was maybe too quiet. Yeah, awesome. So glad both of you are here. It's great to see you. So yeah, got a list of things to do. And I thought it would be cool to just hop on a stream and do it here. So yeah, hope everybody's having a lovely day. And of course, the usual applies to how we do it. So yeah, sound check, I think, for now. Hopefully the performance and stuff is okay. We'll see when I actually get to run in the game. But yeah, so just to start her off, this is episode 10 of the MOMW Show. And I've had a couple months of kind of just being on the DL. And we haven't streamed, I think, since November, probably, or something like that. So yeah, there's just been a bunch of stuff that I've worked on kind of on the side. And also, OpenMW 0.49 is getting close to release. I think probably the RCs are numbered. And so yeah, just all this stuff. I figured we can bang these out here on the live stream. Nothing crazy. I've already actually done the work for a lot of these. And it's just a matter of pushing the thing. Push the button, and yeah, there is a new mod list. Momo people know about it probably, but that I also have been sort of working on and using as a test bed for some of the above changes. And yeah, Ronick actually just now asked me about trying out Protected Beast. That's one we've been kind of sitting on for a while. So, we can load that one up here. And then I had some ideas for abandoned flat containers. I don't know if I'll actually get to this today. Might actually move new TR and Modathon above that, actually. Excuse me. And yeah, so the new TR, actually haven't even downloaded it yet. I've got my, in progress JBM run going. And I'm sure that it'll be okay to update it mid-run, but for now I just haven't actually gotten to it. Hey, fall children, welcome. Thanks for hopping on. I'm so glad you're here. And yeah, then I guess anything else. I don't know if y'all have something interesting to look at. Atahualpa definitely showed me the Keytar mod. You know what I'm talking about? Here, let's actually jump the gun and look that one up. Keytar. This is one of the most amazing things I've ever seen, I think. Yeah, I'm sure you guys have seen this, right? Oh my god. Video looks like it's lagging terribly. Yeah, what's up? Let's see here. Yeah, my processor clock speeds are kind of all over the place. I'd expect them to be, holding steady up in the 3Ks range. All right, well, we'll just leave that there to correlate if it slows down again. Yeah, but this one, which was probably one of the funnier things I've seen in a while. It is what you think it is. Anyway, yeah, okay, well, shoot. So, I guess, first things first. Let's go here to go home and I haven't actually looked at this one in a couple of, maybe weeks even. All right, yeah, this is just me kind of obsessively reformatting the file. Nothing too important. I might actually just hold off on that. But yeah, so big release here on this one. I started playing the mod on my new setup with just Beautiful Morrowind mod list, and I had some issues, and so maybe we want to make this like stick when you scroll down. Anyways, so yeah, just kind of like made a checklist and knocked them all out. It's like, I don't know if you ever wrote a mod before. It's like you try to play the game, you really try, and then something happens and it's like, okay, hang on, we got to fix this thing, and so that happened quite a lot here with between locking doors and regular go home. But in a nutshell, more consistent and better logging for doors stuff. There was while I was testing, actually, I discovered an interesting quirk, I guess, where some doors don't actually, through the API kind of idiomatic way to say, is something a door, right? You would say types door, object is instance, and it's supposed to say true or false, but like some doors, like the Valmora Mages Guild, for example, that's how I found this, return nil, which kind of is wrong on many levels. So anyways, I kind of just worked around that, arguably that should be fixed probably before 0.49 launches, but we'll see if I can actually like fix it myself or file a detailed enough issue so somebody else could. Door naming matches took a lot of actually tweaking and hardening, and I mean like doors global, I mean like this come on, where are you at? Yeah, this right here. Whoa, this beast of a chunk of code, where basically I check a door's name against all kinds of pattern match conditions, because I'm trying to say, is this, for example, in this one, is this a business, right? And just this took an awful lot of fine tuning. Basically playing through Provincial. Woo, slideshow time. Playing through Provincial. Let's see my. Wow, look at this. Yeah, woo. Maybe thermal throttling. Yeah, it really feels like it might be thermal throttling. So I guess after the stream, I'm going to hop into the UEFI controls and see if there's something there or something. I don't know. That's weird. I mean, laptop is hot. I wouldn't say overly hot, but anywho. Discord. Yeah, sheesh, gotta look at that. And also someday too, I want to get we'll get the group chat going again once I figure out my audio, kind of local audio setup with I don't know, getting you guys in Mumble or something, or I don't know, some way where we can pipe your audio into as well. But anyway, so yeah, let's see here. More doors, yeah, more types of doors, automatic exception for hostels, inns, and things that should not get locked at night, no matter what, basically. New rules for several more houses and businesses. Yeah, again, this just goes back to this kind of monstrosity here. New destination cells are explicitly ignored, so maybe they might match a pattern that we want to whitelist, but they're not something, that we really want to mess with. I wonder if I can see such a thing. Yeah, okay. So 5 fathoms flop house and anvil matches our criteria, probably for a business or just a regular door. I forget exactly, but yeah. So here's an example of me doing that. We are just saying, nope, don't want to lock that because that's that's a in hostile kind of a place. And yeah, and I'm trying to explicitly ignore guild hall doors because those probably shouldn't lock at night either. And it seemed like, based on feedback I got from folks, that businesses were kind of locking more frequently than they should have, so I lowered that chance. Maybe I'll make it configurable someday, I don't know. But on the go home side, quite a lot of changes. Hey, Altario, welcome. Glad you're here. Thanks for hopping on. for a while I've been getting some strange reports from people having weird behavior in Go Home. Fargoth, like, bouncing in and out of a door, I think. I can't remember the user's name now, but I got a couple of weird reports that I could just never reproduce, unfortunately. So one day when I had some spare time, I kind of just took a deep look into, like, okay, what actually is going on here? What's the flow of the code, because it's not like let's go in here. It's not that complicated of a mod, but, like, certainly there's a lot going on. There's definitely, like, a flow of various states. And, I mean, just the NPC script alone is almost 600 lines. So it's complicated. But conceptually, like, at a flow level, it's should be simple. But anyways, hey, Atwelpa, welcome. Thanks for hopping in, man. Glad you're here. Just going over some updates and stuff, things that we usually talk about, but actually didn't today. Worked out. Yeah. So, the big thing, though, in Go Home is that community user Lewitt, who is responsible for a lot of great AI mods, like No More Indifferent Actors. Let's see here. Ooh. Let's see here. Yeah, I'm having CPU apparently throttling issues. Come on, browser, you can do it. There we go. Nexus mods, No More Indifferent Actors. Which this is a cool concept, where NPCs will react to, like, combat happening around them. Which, like, it's a sign of the time that Morrowind was made, 20 plus years ago. Didn't have that sophisticated of an AI, but yeah, when you think about it, like, NPCs are just, like, hilariously indifferent to chaos going on around them. So this excellent mod changes that, but also, like, seriously clashed with Go Home. Go Home is trying to observe and react to NPC AI states and influence them as well based on various factors like what time of day it is and so forth. Yeah, totally, exactly. And herein lies my point. Like, Go Home's trying to do its thing. No More Indifferent Actors is trying to do its thing, and yeah, obviously there's a clash. So Lewitt took a look at my code and made it work. But when I took a step back, I noticed, like, Go Home was getting into states that I just couldn't reconcile by, like, looking through the code and, like, trying to reason about the flow. So I wanted to get back to a place where Go Home was completely responsive. What do I mean by completely responsive? I mean, like, let's try to run the game and see here. But for example, in previous versions of Go Home, you used to be able to switch it to nighttime. Actors would do their walk home thing, and then in the middle of them walking home, you can switch it to daytime, and they would stop walking home and immediately walk back to their normal daytime positions. Thanks to the compatibility changes, though, like, that kind of responsiveness just was kind of not happening anymore. And that in itself might not be, like, a super huge deal. Oof, yeah, performance is... My poor laptop. Not throttling too much, but it is throttling. Well, let me try to... I can always, like, disable shaders. Just get an example here. Don't ask why Fargoth is wearing a Link outfit. Well, yeah, he's walking home now, so if I just... Boom, back to his normal spot, right? And so some of the compatibility changes kind of, like, violated that expectation. And so I backed those out, and I kind of took a even further step back and thought, like, how can I make it work in a way that if I'm a mod author that wants to do whatever with AI, because this isn't Lewitt's only AI mod that has an interesting concept but might be problematic compatibility-wise, what can I do to make it kind of bow out? Yeah, so I'll get to that in a second. That's one of Ezzy's mods, and I was just on a Ezzy mod testing spree, which, by the way, Ezzy actually expressed interest in possibly hopping on the stream with me sometime and looking at how to do kind of his normal map creation pipeline, which I've been interested in for a while because I want non-HD TD normals for JBM and so forth. So anyway, going back to Go Home real quick, and my kind of solution that I want to talk to Lewitt about, but this could work for any mod actually, is there's a interface function, and I actually don't think I put it in the README. Holy moly. And I actually think it's a shoot. Sorry about the throttling. I think it's a global interface function. So let's see here. Toggle state. Yeah, here we go. Yeah, I wrote a nice little note here and everything, because I wanted this to be known and understood, but I didn't put it in the README, I don't think. So let's see here. Toggle state. Yeah, okay, I did. Lua compatibility interface. I just didn't explicitly name it. All right. Oh, jeez. Okay. Yeah, so as I wrote here, if you're the author of a mod that also tries to affect friendly NPC AI, it's possible you might need Go Home to temporarily yield control over NPCs so that your mod can do its thing. And so the idea is, in your mod, let's say I'm Lewitt working on No More Indifferent Actors, I would have a block of code that's kind of like this. They've probably already got I in their kind of namespace. And yeah, you would just do this. And this call, as you might guess, would just turn off Go Home's internal functionality. It won't stop. So what it will do is it will continue to see actors and process them and kind of give them, routine assignments and stuff, but it won't actually do anything to their AI. It's different than going into the mod setting and straight turning it off with a factory reset. That stops all functionality of the mod completely. This keeps some of it going, but kind of backs off from the AI changes. So my hope is that this will be enough for any mod author really to kind of just put something like this in their code. If Go Home's installed alongside me, stop it for a minute, right? Like whatever condition, I haven't actually looked at No More Indifferent Actors code, but whatever condition they've got going in there where they do their thing, they can just kind of put this check in there. And then boom, all of a sudden we don't need like a mod or content specific code block, in Go Home that kind of makes things a little spicy. So yeah, this was a big change, and kind of took a lot of iterating on. Lag fest right now. And yeah, lots of breaks from trying to play JBM. Let's see here. Oh yeah, post quest data reset is also a newish feature that I worked on. And one example of what this is relevant to is, here we go, out of thermal throttling. This is relevant for the Fargoth quest. Spoiler alert if you have never done one of the earliest and most prolific quests in the game. Excuse me, but without Go Home in the mix, if you've played the quest before, you know that Fargoth kind of has a new wandering point in front of his house after you do this quest. And if you, actually rob the stump and so forth, or at least I think if you just watch him go to the stump is enough for him to go to that spot. But for Go Home, after the quest, it would, assert control over him and put him back to like his original spot by the Census and Excise office. And like, that's not game breaking per se. But it is a little, like it's a little subtle way that the game kind of violates your expectation, or the mod kind of violates your expectation of things. So anyway, now there's a post-quest reset facility, and after the quest, Go Home wipes its internal data that says this is where Fargoth's, default location is outside. Pick a new one, and so the next time Fargoth's loaded, wherever he's at becomes his new default area, and that'll usually be somewhere, in the vicinity of where he goes. This also affects other quests and other content, including a quest in AFresh. No spoilers on that one. And and this is the note about the thing that I was kind of just talking about. And this is just like an ongoing issue that I've had with, and I'm really curious if anybody else who's made a mod that uses AI travel in any degree. But just sometimes, I don't know, NPCs bug out and pathfinding just goes, bonkers, and things don't, like, you'll end up with an NPC just like walking into something like a wall or a ladder. And there's also, of course. There's certain architecture like Lalu architecture or Velothi architecture where the door might have like some obstruction in the doorway, right? Here, let me go in game and actually show an example of this. And actually, before I do that, let's. Okay. Let me disable the shaders here. Maybe that'll give me a little bit more performance. I think a visual demonstration is best here, though. This is a place where it's demonstrable. But this also affects some TD, Tamriel data architecture as well, where I think like the... I don't know what you would call it, and apologies for the potato lag. The throttle lag. I don't know what you would call it, flourishes on the architecture, for example, just end up getting in the way, and the pathfinding at the moment doesn't kind of know, like, oh, like this is it's not technically part of the path grid, but it's here we go. Okay, good. But it's in the way of me walking. Okay. Let's yeah, here we go. Okay. So something like this, for example, and this isn't the best, actually isn't the best example, but what can happen here is they'll end up doing something like this. The point for the door will be like actually on the door exactly, and this entryway is in just enough to kind of like make the pathfinding bug out. And actually the one example here in Nisus is with BCOM. It's one of these ones, and yeah, you just end up with a situation like this where you could reasonably get to it if it weren't for this. Another one is example is over here with Beautiful Cities of Morrowind, which I don't exactly remember. I don't think nope, obviously I did not. But this lady gets a home, or has a home here. I forget if it's vanilla. But with BCOM, she gets stuck. Or even with vanilla, she would. Because there's something like this in front of the door. And they just end up... The Pathfinder code just doesn't walk around that. So, one of the changes that I've made in Go Home to compensate for that is I now can say, okay, instead of the door being right here, now the door is right here. So you might see like an actor kind of disappear at the foot of the doorstep instead of exactly at the door, and that's why. It's kind of like the necessary compromise that needed to be made to get them to actually go home in some cases. So also just just a shout out about my testing setup here, and I've got Ezzy's Aztec, Lalu textures and normal maps loaded up just for funsies. I think it's a really interesting aesthetic idea to make the Hlaalu architecture in Aztec kind of style, and Ezzy did a really good job on the normal maps. Thermal throttle. Okay. So yeah, all of that to say, come on, you can do it, little buddy. All of that to say, there should be more NPCs in Go Home that actually go home and don't just disappear at nighttime. Because oftentimes, an NPC might not find their home because there's some jank going on with the door. Hool, for example, in Balmora with BCOM gets a home on the riverfront underneath. But like the door, I don't know, for whatever reason, with the default positioning code, it like put the door point above, and so Hool would walk to above where the door is and just like, not be able to teleport in. So when I just made a slight adjustment to where I made an arbitrary door point, yeah, I know, right? Atahualpa here with like the CERN level gaming PC now. I'm super behind. But yeah, now with this code, Hool can actually walk down. It's actually kind of awesome to watch Hool go home with BCOM. Let's see if we can rig that up. And it's quite the walk, right? Because Hool hangs out by the gate, so they walk down the steps, across the bridge, under the, the under part of Balmora, and it's pretty cool. Let's just uncomment all of that. Beautiful cities. Okay. And hopefully... Yeah, okay. It's not going to be pretty, but we'll see. It is an epic walk, I'm telling you. Yep, wandering creatures, wandering creature merchants, kind of bearing the lead on that, but you might notice the output on the console and on the loading screen there. One of the Lua mods that we'll be looking at today once I stop dragging through this. But there were so many changes in Go Home. Most of the other mod updates are relatively boring compared to this. Okay. Yeah. Okay, so Hool is right here, right? And we'll go ahead and first, for testing purposes, I just like to disable all the delay stuff. So no rare chance. I don't technically need to set that to 0, but I'm gonna do it anyways. Give me some log spam. 1, 0. Give me that immediate. No rare chance. Give me that constant weather check. Okay, that should be good. Just to demonstrate Hool going home and the long journey to Hool's home. It's actually like impressive. Here we go. I don't know if y'all can see, it's pretty dark, but see Hool crossing here, and so roughly where my cursor is in the center of the screen is where Hool's door is, and what was happening before is Hool would walk to above on like the upper sidewalk portion and just kind of be like, just stuck, and as you can see now, whoop, here we go. Even though I just mentioned how the path grid geeks out on some architecture, it's pretty rad though. Like, when it does what it's supposed to do, it does it extremely well. And yeah, we can see Hool here making the long journey home. And the thermal throttling happening at just the last possible moment. Beforehand, boom, and you can see at the very bottom of the screen of my console output there, Hool state change is home. So then, just for posterity, and thermal throttling be damned. There comes Hool out the front door. And yeah, so that was like one of the motivating factors to try and develop this feature of like setting an arbitrary point for a door. Because I wanted to see this epic walk home happen and work as intended. But there's actually more, like I would say, we can look at the exception data, but I would say probably around a handful of actors that need this treatment in order to properly go home for one reason or another. Yeah, I'm telling you, like my goal, thank you, Gonzo. I'm telling you, my goal was to like fix jank as much as I could, and prevent unexpected state in the mod. Because really unexpected, like when the mod doesn't do what I think it should be doing, and I'm the creator, we have problems, right? And it's becomes impossible to actually fix things. So got that overcame, and then I took a look at, and this is something that, hey Smolly, oh awesome, I'm so glad you're here. Tell everyone I said hey. this is one that I had to kind of chip at over time, you know, but yeah, like addressing all the weird edge cases, you know, between Fargoth's secondary place or people who get stuck like right outside their door and stuff. So yeah, it was very satisfying to work on and just see this mod kind of, you know, I want to like fix issues like that before I go into like other crazy features, you know, like making some people that are outdoor that are already home come outside and wander during the day, you know, and you wouldn't want everybody to do that, but maybe it would be cool to have some do that. Let's find an example of this. Oh yeah, thanks. Thanks, Gonzo. Yeah, this is my Near Orchestra t-shirt. January? Smallio? January 2020. Smallio and I saw the Near Automata Orchestra live, and it was friggin' awesome. I mean, what would you expect? But yeah, it was just amazing show, amazing music. And so you had to get a t-shirt, of course. It is from like a previous, it says 2018 on it, so it's not exactly the same tour, but all right. Yeah, wow. So that was a very extremely long look at the very first mod on the list. But boom. So let's actually, you know what? Before I check it off, let's actually get this release out there, huh? Yeah. So I'm gonna. Oh, look at this. See? Thank you, past me. While I was hacking on the mod, I have this. Thermal throttle. I have this Git stash here. And it's conveniently labeled "Apply me before doing a release," followed by way too many exclamation points. And if we go ahead and take a peek at it, this is something I sometimes forget to do, but basically, in the mod's code, there is code that looks at these two variables, and if the number has increased, then it forces a factory reset of the mod's internal data, and it'll do it automatically so that the user doesn't have to. And that way, like, any new rules can get applied, and so forth, and fixes can work more completely. So if I don't do this, then somebody would have to go in there and do like a factory reset on their own. It's totally doable, but also very inconvenient and janky. So let's go ahead and thank you, past me. Let's go ahead and apply that. Excellent. Version bumps. Sounds good. All right. By the way, one of the things I've started dabbling in is Final Fantasy VII dialogue editing. And maybe in a future stream, we'll look at a work in progress Final Fantasy VII PlayStation 1 dialogue edit patch that I'm doing. And I was inspired by the line, "This guy are sick." Very early on in the game, there's a scene where one of the characters says, "This guy are sick." And I'm just like, ugh. It was actually a dialogue edit ROM hack I was using that didn't change that one. And I was just like, oh, man. Okay. So, yeah, someday in the future, I'll take you all down the rabbit hole of Final Fantasy VII PS1 modding. Cool, okay. So that's out there. Because yeah, that's another one which I actually never I never, you know, paid too close attention to the typos in Final Fantasy VII. So I've never used Seventh Heaven, but actually the software I'm using to edit the game, I can fire it up right now. It's called Maku Reactor, and it's a really neat cross-platform. Here we go with some thermal throttling. Cross-platform, Qt-based. Right, it is the only line that Genova has in the entire game, and yeah, the one thing is typoed. But actually, I've noted that I've been like casually playing it on my Mister, and I've noticed that there's basically typos, big and small, like right up until the very end before you descend down to fight Sephiroth. It's crazy. They're just like little ones here and there all over the place. Let's go ahead and just load up unmodified disc 1. And yeah, so this is just the, I don't know, it's like the Final Fantasy editor, right? And so Yeah, here we go. Find all. And the way dialogue works in Final Fantasy VII is actually pretty interesting and definitely beyond the scope of this video. But yeah, okay. I guess I fixed this one already. This is my already fixed ROM. But yeah, so in the default game, it's like that. But you can, just type whatever you want there. We can, change the... maybe I don't know what I'm doing here. You're supposed to be able to change the dialogue box dimensions here, but maybe it's a different kind of dialogue box. I don't know. I didn't get really beyond just editing the text. But yeah, so, just like taking screenshots of the little typos here and there. There's, I don't know if I have the... All right, we're doing like a real weird but short diversion here. The final proofread. Yeah, this is the patch that kind of inspired me. Oh, come on. To do this, which does an admirable job. I didn't really get far enough using it because I saw that this guy, our sick thing, and kind of had a Psyduck moment. And then I decided that I wanted to make like a much smaller scoped. Like, I'm not trying to fix the dialogue, I don't speak Japanese or read any kind of scripture of theirs. So I wouldn't be able to interpret the original script. But yeah, Final Proofread 7, worth looking into if you're interested in they fixed the line that Seti was just mentioning, and many others though. They changed the Shinra to Shinra, which I'm quite dubious about that change, honestly. But yeah, my in progress patch just fixes things that are really obviously typos, and I'm trying to do what most patches don't seem to do, and pretty clearly and explicitly document everything that I change. So that is an extreme work in progress and not actually released yet. But yeah, it would be cool to work on that in a future stream. Okay. Now, this is kind of a look for those who haven't seen it into how do we update mods when they're not hosted on Nexus mods. If you ever updated a mod on Nexus, there's a form that you go through where you upload your file, change the version, and all kinds of stuff. I'm not really a huge fan of it, to tell you the truth. And I won't say that this process is better. It's better for me. But it's certainly simpler. And so what we do is we just use git to make a commit tag. And this is going to be 1.16. Enter. Put it on master. Shift P. Give me a little case T. Push all tags. And boom. Go, and it's off just like that. Let's get our throttle cam here, and I might as well close up Maku Reactor. But yeah, mad props to the people that make Maku Reactor, to the Final Proofread author for kind of inspiring me to even look into this. I was unable to sleep one night and morbidly curious, how did they edit the dialogue in Final Fantasy, and it turns out the answer is there's some really cool software for doing that. And Maku Reactor is extremely powerful, and it's also for somebody who's been poking into the guts of his favorite game for a long time, Morrowind. This is a really throttle potato. This is a really neat look into another game that I like that is completely different. Under the hood. Jeez Louise. My poor throttled CPU. Okay, let's close this up. It's honestly got me thinking about... No, don't say that. It's got me thinking about, in my copious free time, I don't know, making a new dungeon Final Fantasy mod, but also... I wouldn't want to just, have AI-generated backgrounds, right? And I have absolutely no chops to do any kind of art of my own whatsoever. All right, now we got the packages. Come on. It's pushed. And let's just go check out the update center right quick. Ta-da! Awesome. Okay, let's get the URL here and we'll update the README. This is a bit of ceremonial boilerplate work. I just don't like, there's things, for example, the Java Maven release plugin is a popular piece of software that automates effectively what I'm doing now and other things, but I just don't like automatedly doing things like this. I'd never have. It just, no sir, I don't like it. All right. And away she goes. So the next mod in the list is going to be much more quick to run through, I promise. But yeah, bound balance. Let's go ahead and... So there were a couple issues with bound balance. Mostly relating to kind of race conditions that come up where you would... So unlike the vanilla... Let's make sure we got this loaded up here, and I'll just demonstrate for you. But unlike the vanilla bound weapons that you can't drop at all, my bound balance bound weapons aren't technically bound items because you can't really create those with Lua yet as such. So I fake it. But also as such, you can actually put them on the ground. So I chose to handle that by simply despawning them. I did honestly like have a come to Todd moment where I'm like, should we be just zapping them back into the player's inventory? And I'm still honestly open to that. I don't know if despawning them is the right approach. You know, like maybe I should just more closely emulate vanilla and zap it back into the player's inventory. But yeah, for example, let's go ahead and made a bunch of test spells. Last reasonably long. Here we go. So you could... The bug, though, was... Ta-da, bound item vanishes. The bug was... I spawn a bound sword that lasts 60 seconds. After 10 seconds, I drop it and it despawns. I summon another bound sword, and it inherits the despawn timer of the one that we zapped out. And so... Not really a scenario that I thought of in advance, and it required kind of some re-engineering of how the mod passed around data and just did things in general. But it's fixed now. And I want to say there's at least one or two other awkward scenarios I came across personally while testing it, but it's, you know, knock on wood, knock on Todd's wooden head, pretty stable at this point. And then Pope Rigby, major thanks, requested support for TrainWiz's bound weapon replacer, which we will go ahead and just open up and take a look at here. Definitely adds some interesting, more resembling the Skyrim bound weapons here, models and stuff, and a VFX. But the problem with the VFX, in my opinion, was they kind of like shine too much. And so we ended up with a discussion between Pope Rigby and myself that it might be cool to somehow, you know, dynamically tweak the VFX. I just don't know much about that part of the API yet. Haven't jumped in there, so that's a project for another day. All right, well, I guess let's go ahead and without further ado, no internal number bumping required for this one. Really, all we got to do is just push the version, so let's do that. It's a version launch party. All right. Okay, it's not gonna until CI passes, probably it won't show up on the update center. So let's just go here and check for that. Yep. Speaking of Final Fantasy VII, might be able to save some FPS by disabling the visualizer too. Maybe that'll help. Boom. Okay, we're done. Package registry. We'll do the same song and dance here, and I'll spare you the rant about hating auto updates. All right. Cool. 2 down. A couple more to go. Okay, Signpost fast travel. Sheesh, I don't even remember what I did with this one. Let's see. Okay, right. We've had a lot of discussion between the Momo team, specifically MYM and myself, about what's the best way of detecting when character generation, also known as charging, is done. There is in the OpenMW Lua API something called, I believe it is charge and done, but let's types. There we go. Is charge and finished, and so you can check this on the player. And for Morrowind, it's a pretty good way. I believe it turns true once you walk out the Census and Excise office after getting orders to go see Caius from what's his name? Scravius, I think. But for Starwind, this doesn't exactly work quite correctly, and it triggers to true way before actual character generation is totally finished. So I had to come up with some other way, specifically for Starwind, and it kind of is a blueprint for other total conversions or even independent games that don't exactly work for whatever reason or another, the way Todd's blessed way works. But in a nutshell, let's see, UI mode change. Where do I do this now? Oh, you know what? I don't have... This is a bad example of the Starwind thing, because this mod doesn't work for Starwind. But for any other mod that needs to look at is charge and done, including my sprinting mod run, which we'll look at in a bit, or natural character growth and decay, to properly detect when charging is done. For Starwind, you need to look at kind of when the final user interface for character generation, where you confirm all your stats, when that menu is closed, then you know charging's done for Starwind. And at least until we patch it one way or another, that's just the way it's got to be. So yeah, and then there's so many weird things that go along with like detecting if the player is in combat with somebody. It's way more complicated, just way more complicated than I can even like get into here. There's so many things you have to think about, like for example, just as one nugget of information, you might still be in combat with a loaded actor, but the combat music will not be playing. And so you might then end up in a situation where you don't have any battle music playing, but like this mod or any other mod that would use the patterns that I've been using is under the assumption, oh, you're in combat. And so there's further like Toddness to consider there. So anyway, all that to say, nothing really further that needs tweaking here. So we're going to go ahead and cut a release 2.15. Cool. Get that update center refreshed. Oh, you know what? That's right. Glad I checked this. So, let's see here. Signpost Fast Travel. Latest release, 2.15. March 30th? That's because the last commit that I did was this one. And it was March 30th. It's not the date that the tag was pushed. I don't know if this is something that we can fix in our JavaScript here. I gotta think it is. maybe GitLab. So I have to check the GitLab API documentation to see, do they like store what day we push a tag, you know? Almost certainly they do, right? MOMW, because for example on the Momo website, just as a visual here, when we look at the tags, there is a date here, right? Now, is that the date of the commit though? We tend to do website releases historically, you know, very shortly after doing like the final, you know, commit to one. So potato meter. Yeah, okay. So maybe for the next one that we update, I'm going to do just like a white space change or something so the day bumps up. That's right. I thought about that before, but forgot. All right, no problem. Let's get that link. Cool. Action camera swap. That's right. I did change a couple of things in this. I'm kind of on a quest to make things require 0.49 now. There's really no reason, you know, to support 0.48 anymore, especially not for new features. There really isn't a good reason to use old OpenMW versions. Not counting forks, such as certain multiplayer forks. So yeah, we now require 0.49, updated support for Morrowind Interiors project, including supporting, that's right, absolutely. But Morrowind Interiors project actually has some TR support now. I don't know if you've seen this, Ronick. I haven't explicitly looked at it, even though it's in just Beautiful Morrowind. So yeah, I updated this mod support compatibility for that. We've got better compatibility for OpenMW dynamic actors, and thank you to Sector. Sector actually did this one, so big thanks to Sector for that. You no longer toggle camera swapping being on and off with a key press. Instead, now you go into the settings menu. I did that earlier in the stream, actually. I don't know if you noticed. Just, it was like, I understood it because I wrote the code and like just chose to wrap my head around it, but it is like a weird thing to wrap your brain around. So yeah, now there is just an on-off button in the settings, and I feel like that's better. Whoops, try to collapse it, but Markdown doesn't do that. And then yeah, this is just like a technical detail that probably nobody will notice. It was almost, I won't say impossible, but very hard to like get into the situation where this would matter. But yeah, I properly implemented async timer callbacks. What do you mean by that? Well, by that I mean, if you're doing, let's see, if you got a bit of code like, this for example. You can use what's called the async module in OpenMW Lua to do a timer. And by timer, I mean like, do this thing after 10 seconds or 30 seconds or 5 minutes or whatever. So you make a simulation timer. I won't get into what's simulation versus game timer. That's for a different discussion. But the first argument you give it here is the delay, which depending on what you want to do. But this is how I, for example, in Go Home, implement a random delay to go home. And then the callback here, which the callback is, especially in this case, a specially wrapped function that runs after the delay. And it's possible to like just take this code right here and put it in line, right? The timer callback, and just put it in here. Like, you don't technically have to assign it to a variable, but actually you do. And that's what this detail is actually about. Implemented async timer callbacks. You have to assign your callback to a variable before you use it in a timer. In a nutshell, so that saving and loading can work properly. So nothing too exciting. Let's see if I can make a BS change here somewhere. I'm just gonna do. by the way, while we're waiting, I discussed this with some of the Momo peeps, but very interesting traffic spike hitting moddingopenmw.com lately. Notably, on the 22nd of April, which I think is the day after Oblivion Remaster came out. It's within a day, I'm almost positive, of that happening. There's just like this boom traffic spike, which, you know, like 127 visits, not that much in the grand scheme of things, but like compared to 4, 2, 0, then all of a sudden just like boom. And then we can kind of see like a correlating overall traffic increase since then on the website in general. So I don't know if it's like, the Google information on this is, or the referral information on this is, just a very cryptic 83% Google, whatever the heck that is. Our stats collection software is very privacy respecting, maybe to a fault even, right? We don't get a lot of interesting information, but hey, is what it is. I think it's a good thing. Okay, we got our bump. Yes, okay. I'm losing my voice. I haven't talked this much in a while. And I'll do the Nexus side of this probably after the stream. Let's see, 1.10. Punch it. Yeah. It was kind of what I thought too, Gonzo, honestly. And then when I saw actually Smallio is who told me about the TR update. So congrats to the TR team about that. As I mentioned earlier in the stream, I haven't actually downloaded that or checked it out yet. So maybe in a coming stream, maybe next weekend, we can add Go Home support for some of the new content there. But that could also be a correlation for sure. All right, the build's out there. Let's get that package. All right. Cool. All right, what's next? And let's go just for posterity. Let's do a little tab maintenance. Update center. Boom, there it is. Awesome. All right. Friendly autosave. Ooh, yeah. This is one of the first ones that was like janked in a way while I was playing, and I'm like, something's not right here. Yeah, I feel like a lot of people who got introduced to Elder Scrolls from Skyrim maybe didn't try out Oblivion, like maybe the potato heads put them off, because like when you're used to Skyrim and then you see like, not to pick on them too much, but the NPCs from Oblivion, it's kind of like, I don't know, a little comical maybe. And the game is a little less self-aware in various ways, so I could see people maybe passing on it a little bit, like, nah, I'm good. Whereas Morrowind might be like older and still janky in its own ways, but maybe more appealing because it's got that style, like not like a Lord of the Rings kind of ripoff. So just a couple of changes here. Better handling of detecting any actors that are in combat with a player. This relates to the change that I made in Signpost Fast Travel, and basically any mod that I have which has to care about if the player's in combat with somebody or vice versa. I've kind of applied all of these, ideas across the board, but it really made me take a step back and think like we need some kind of a community interface for stuff that probably won't get actually merged into OpenMW, but is still generally useful to Morrowind content creators. Going back onto the subject of character generation, I guess I didn't do that to begin with, but now we do. There was some interesting issue where old saves were not being deleted when the max save value is reached. I'm still noticing this kind of happening with my JBM playthrough. Some saves are not deleted, and I haven't really gotten a handle on why, but we'll get there. Better named save files because I unborked my code. There was interesting. I had a jank way of detecting if the player was swimming. It was like some janky, Y or Z or whatever up down coordinate detection, and so like totally normal, right, to make an interior that's below 0 sea level. Like you can just control the water level with just a different value there. So yeah, anyways, I was in some cave and it wouldn't save. I was in Provincial, and I'm like, what the heck is going on? I walked up some stairs and then it saved finally. And so yeah, fix that. And then yeah, as I mentioned before, kind of a more friendly charge and detection for Starwood. We don't really want to save the game until character generation is totally done. Okay, what do I got here? Oh yeah, I was testing out, so I made a very, very small save interval. Not gonna commit that one, but I am gonna go ahead and just bump. Okay. Ooh. I swear I went into my laptop UEFI settings and disabled the thermal controls. I swear I did that. Settiness and I were on like a deep rabbit hole several months ago. Linux performance rabbit hole. And gee, I thought I had like solved this from happening, but look at, here we are again. Okay, let's go ahead and tag it. Okay. 1.5. There we go. All right. There we go. Doesn't have to wait for CI. Ha! Dude, yeah, actually, I just saw like the first 5 minutes of that game yesterday. And I'm like, I gotta check this out. I immediately texted Smallio. I'm like, you might love this. Thank you for the plug on that. Yeah, the music seemed awesome, just based on what I heard, from the intro. I didn't want to see any more, but I was like, okay, I'm gonna play this. Not watching anymore. Yeah. I just have been seeing so much about it. I clicked on like a random YouTube video that was just like gameplay of the intro, and wowza, how nice. All right. And I still have the Xenoblade 3 soundtrack that I haven't even really busted into yet, mostly because I haven't played Xenoblade 3, and I know from the previous games that they do put spoilers in at least a few of the song titles, so I've been like trying to avoid all that. All right, nice. Provincial Beginning, yes. Settiness actually found this one a while back. I don't think this is a bug in the mod. I think it's a bug in how OpenMW handles on-cell changed. MW script on-cell changed or whatever. Because there's... Well, let me just demonstrate what happens. It's easier to show. All right, here we go. I'll set it up. There are NPCs that are disabled when you first load the game. They become enabled after you reach a certain quest point. That's all I know. I haven't actually gotten there in my own playthrough. However, with my mod, you would spawn in.
Look alive, prisoner.
And yeah.
Focus now. Tell me your name.
What a meanie. All right.
Yes. That matches what's in the paperwork.
So with this
Let's
mod,
confirm
you
the
spawn
rest
in
of our
and they're
records.
there. And they don't despawn. They don't despawn until you actually like cross a cell border, which can very likely not happen right away. Like, it's totally reasonable, and I'll demonstrate, for example, like it happening.
Right. That matches our records.
Not
You're free
crossing
to
a cell
leave now.
border in time enough
Your
for them to
release
actually
has
like
evidently
run at me and start
called for
attacking me.
someone very high-ranking.
It's like,
I'll
whoa,
need
you know,
to
so
confirm
SETI
that
report, I'm like,
information
how could this
before I
possibly
let you
be,
go.
you know, I don't change any of these NPCs, how could it be my mod? But it absolutely, like, didn't happen under any other circumstance. Not even if you go in with a test character. So the interesting thing, Altariel, is the problem doesn't happen with Morrowind.exe. And this mod. So when you load outside with Morrowind.exe,
Okay, I'm unlocking the door.
okay, so that makes sense actually. Enter cell, not
I've
leave
been
it.
instructed to give you
So
this.
maybe OpenMW has it implemented in the reverse actually. And we got the potato
Move along.
throttling going on here. God dang it. So to reiterate what Ronick just said, cell change only works when you enter a cell, not leave it. That's what I see happening with Morrowind.exe. And what we're about to see here, this mean guy, get out of here, bruh. What we're about to see here now is I'm gonna enter this cell. My character generation scripts are run, hey, Illust, welcome. No, it's not just you. I've got some like CPU throttling going on here. Got this little meter watching my clock speeds, and I have some weird CPU throttling going on that I'm gonna have to address after the stream. But the character generation script that we just kind of like click through without paying attention to, that is locally on the NPC doing character generation. And I tried to like stay close to the patterns that Todd's charge-in does, and that's what it appeared to do. It appeared to run local scripts on Jube, for example, and all the other related NPCs. So if I go over here, I see. Okay. Interesting. Maybe we won't do this release today, and I'll actually... Okay, so they're gone. Oh, dang it, I have a guard disabler script that I wrote so that towns would be more empty with go home. God dang it, let's go ahead and fix that. So interesting, Ronick, so you're saying, like, mice... Alright, we'll have to look more closely at this, because I'm a little confused how that would look. That's right, I'm still using G7's tool here, so the scripts are all kind of not really readable in plain text, unfortunately. Dang. Okay. First things first. Whoops. Let's disable the disabler, and I'll speed run through that again. Yeah. it's been a bit of a long journey to get like consistent performance on this. Where I used to be able to easily get consistent performance on my framework laptop, Intel iGPU, Alder Lake generation, Intel CPU. Man, like my first year of streaming, I had pretty good performance, you know, no issues really. But like, I don't know, the past year, I've had like massive stuttering, and I just wonder, I have TLP, And I actually went over this a couple of streams ago. You might have been here, but just tweaking, CPU, GPU, network, hardware performance in general, scaling. And so when I'm on power, like I am right now, I'm supposed to be maxed out. But yeah, you can see here, like, look at this clock speed. What's going on? Like, certainly feels like thermal throttling. Some kind of temperature issue. I don't know. It feels hot, but not like alarmingly hot. Anyway, okay. Back to the topic at hand here.
Okay, unlocking. Yeah, I've been instructed to give you.
Shut up, you.
I don't know anything.
It's kind of weird for me to say shut up to myself. Okay. Oh my gosh, this run pop-up. Who made this mod? Garbage. Show messages. No. Alright. So. Yeah, here they come. Come on. Here they come. Oh no. So yeah, this NPC and one other I think, but who probably didn't actually target me yet. Now when I cross through here, boom, gone. So we might actually pause this update. But anyways, I will at least go over, I'll pause this release because I want to pick Ronic's brain a little bit more, but I will at least take a look at kind of what I did to mitigate this is I have a Lua script here that checks if the player is in a specific cell. Oh man, it was ridiculous. After all, it could be, though, that, yeah, some janky way that I implemented character generation, so I'm going to follow up on it. But what I did to resolve it that works well enough, at least, is we detect when the player is in port Teldrak, and then we ping-pong over to a global script, which just, disables them. Pretty boring. Single fire and forget event, and so when it's done, it says it's done, and then therefore, it runs on a run repeatedly timer. So once it fires for the first time, it never fires again. And yeah, when you you can see here I'm assigning the value of run repeatedly to this check func variable. And when you do that, you gain yourself the ability to call that value, which stops your run repeated function. So what happens is it runs once, sees that it's done, stops itself. So it was the least invasive but definitely very hacky way I could come up with to solve it. But let's go ahead and let's open this up in the CS. So I'm curious, since I've got Altariel here on the stream, I'm super curious. And I guess I don't really need to go into why, but all of the vanilla character generation scripts are all local on actors. I don't think there's any that are global. I would have to double check that to be 100% sure, but I'm 90% sure. And then I got this script, which is... Let's just double check this before I say something false. Oh my goodness. Holy down throttling Batman. Okay, yeah, our NPC here. Charge in it. Okay. So it's attached to the mean guy at the gate with the weird voice. And that's where I'm doing all my magic. But I guess according to Altariel, who I would say is a lot more of a MW script ninja than I am, I'm no good with MW script. I like to think that I've written some MW script in my day, but I don't know anything about it when I come to it. And I made this just by trying to, like, if we look at if we look at Todd's code here, there's a number of seemingly charge-in related scripts, and I touch a few of them, but I tried to make as few changes as possible to that stuff. But this is the only global one, right? And what I changed was this line right here by default sends the player to the and so exactly, Altariel, thank you. And I haven't changed that. All I did was change where it positions the player. As you can see here, it's highlighted. And I changed, setting the weather to clear in Anvil, just to make sure, because by default in Todd's code, it does Bitter Coast region here, and it positions you again on the prison ship next to Jube. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's might be mostly a you issue or a me issue. I'm sorry, Alist. I have to fix my jank laptop. So anyway, though, the game starts, and this is the first one of the global scripts that fires up, and it sets up a bunch of stuff here, and sends the player to the ship in front of Jube, and let's see here, charge a name NPC. I think this is the script that's on Jube. You better do what they say. Yeah, stand up. There you go. You were dreaming. So this would be the local script that hands off, like, starting charge-in. Oh my gosh. Get you out of here, spam. Gonzo, can you, like, axe this fool? I'm not exactly sure how to do that. There we go. Aha! So, Altariel, thank you. What exactly am I trying to do? So if you remember a while back, we had that NPC rush at me. Since we're in here, shoot, I don't know if I have the NPC ID. There are these NPCs that use, on cell change, I think it is. Let's see here. On cell, or maybe it's cell change. Yeah, there we go. There's some scripts in Province Cyrodiil for the NPC that was hostile with me and rushed at me, that checks cell changed. And in Vanilla Morrowind, when you emerge from the dungeon, I'm tempted to actually just fire that up now and show you. Those NPCs are disabled as what I assume is expected by the intent of the authors of Province Cyrodiil. But in OpenMW, only when you run alongside my charge-in script here, when you come outside, they're like not despawned yet until you cross a cell border. And that's why I wrote this Lua code to just disable them anyway. So when you come outside, straight off, it just disables them. And really, like, the player is none the wiser. So what exactly am I trying to do? Disable certain NPCs, and that's what I'm doing with Lua, but it would be nice, and I think it's a OpenMW engine bug in some way that we're handling cell changed in a different way from the vanilla engine. But that's all I know right now. I gave up trying to investigate the engine bug and instead wrote a very small Lua script to work around it. Hey, Smallio just got home. Okay. So yeah, I guess I'll consider what value is my active grid set to. Oh, okay. Is that something? Okay. Is that something I would set in like a global or? Otherwise, I don't know how to answer that except maybe like, I don't know, getting a readout of it's a local game setting. Oh, wow. Okay, amazing. I think we're zeroing in on this. Do you know the start cell? Ooh. Yeah, SETI, thank you for noticing. So I'm increasing like the font size and setting dark mode are two major changes I've made. Oh, like my literal OpenMW actor processing range. I'm just using the default, 99% sure. Let's see. Yeah, so I'm using whatever the default is, I guess. Let's look that up in the docs. Actors processing range. So the default is the max. Let's see. I'm pretty sure it's a slider in game. Let's take a look. Here we go, right here. Yeah. Boom. All the way as far as it can go. So is it a 7168, I assume, is units. And that's just under an entire cell. So I wonder if that's just too low. Maybe it needs to be like, I wonder what it is in Morrowind.exe. Maybe that's the problem. Good call, Ronick. Didn't even think about that. Maybe the problem is that the default and the max value of 7168 is simply too low, and it needs to be one cell or even more. I don't know what the value is in Morrowind.exe. All right. Given that, I think in the interest of at least having the mod function, I think I am going to go forward with this. Can it be forced higher in settings.cfg? I kind of doubt it because it says here in the docs, that this is like we can probably set it higher, but like would the engine silently bump it down to to what it wants the highest value to be? So anyways, yeah, I think I'm going to go ahead and just move forward with this. I'm going to leave that comment there too, just because. Let's go ahead and consider this my bump. Yeah, okay, Yeah, so I think then what I should do is, following this stream, I'll probably start a conversation with the development team of OpenMW on maybe the... Okay, interesting. So you're saying right here, smart thinking, and then it wouldn't require the extra Lua code. I like that. All right, let's try that. I really want to try that. Excellent thinking, Ronick. All right. All right. Nice. Yeah, if I can simplify the installation by removing that, that's what I want to do. Except I don't know what their actor IDs are, and I cleverly put the refnum in the global script, so I don't actually know. Would this come up? Does the CS OpenCS know about refnum? Instances. Maybe under the hood, but I doubt it exposes that. Come on. There we go. Yeah, somehow I doubt it. It's probably for the best. Okay. Discard. I really like that approach, and I'm going to go with it. Disable them in the global script. No need for Lewitt. It doesn't hurt, Morrowind.exe users in any way. Probably wouldn't even need to recompile the script for that. All right, let's speed run through it again, shall we? Didn't expect this one to blow up, but it's for the best. We still have to change this cutscene. My plan is to get a subscription to 11AI, or maybe work with Von Jangos even, maybe perhaps. But to slightly change the text of this to make more sense with spawning an anvil. I feel like this is one of the last missing things for the mod.
Look alive, prisoner. Focus now. Tell me your
Maybe
name.
do something about this mean guy.
Yes, that matches what's in the paperwork. Let's confirm the rest of our records. All right, that matches our records. You're free to leave then. Your release has evidently been called for by someone very high-ranking. I'll need you to confirm that information before I let you go.
Yeah, I'm down, dude. I know you and I have talked about possibly getting 11AI subscription, SETI too. So if you dudes want to,
Don't know anything further about
collab on it, cool. Otherwise, yeah, I was thinking about hitting up Jangos and just being like, hey, do you feel like,
You want something?
do you feel like helping out with that? So what I'm gonna do here now is I'm gonna save it. Okay. Maybe I can. Come on. Oh my god. Oh yeah, for the yeah, definitely for the vanilla one, definitely. But there's part of the audio oh no. Part of the audio does need to be changed though, Gonzo. It's like, I forget what exactly it is. It's been a while since I actually thought about this. But there's like one or two things she says that don't quite jive with being in Anvil. There we go. So we can see this one right here. Come on. And we'll just look for the script here. Yeah, that's the one. Yep. Thank you. So it's like not necessarily game breaking, but it is kind of awkward. It does kind of arguably kind of clash. Okay. Edit. Yeah, so thank you, Altariel. I'm going to look for NPCs that have that script because there's just those three, and they're the three that are in the area. I've already done some like in advance confirmation of this, but good call out. At least that's what my memory tells me. I could be wrong. Shoot, that's not what I want. Instances. That's not what I want either. Oh. Hey, Illust. Yeah, cool. Okay, I wasn't quite sure what was going on there. Opera unsupported, that's a bummer. Browser monoculture or duo culture. Okay. So we want to find the objects that have DAS script. How did I? Maybe I will pop in there. Thankfully, I saved it. Swift ID. Yeah. Okay. Come on. Maybe this won't work because they just have some generic. Yeah, they just have some generic object ID. Object ID, is that what the NPC ID you're talking about, Eltariel? Has to be right. Yeah, well, It's like I'm just trying to disable the one that's in range, right? And I don't know if I do, like... something like this. I wouldn't expect this to work, right? Or would it? Cool, yeah. Thanks for helping with this. I wouldn't expect this to work, though, because I could be wrong, but I thought being able to do something like this depends on it being unique, maybe? Or would it just blanket hit all of them? And I'm not sure if that would be fine. They all seem to be, like, very near, to the vicinity where I'll be. What a fun problem. So then, okay, thank you for that. Would this script code over here be sufficient then? Let's put it in there and just try. Really, though, it would also be nice to know where the other guards are. Okay. Yeah, okay. Huh. So, I was thinking since you mentioned vanilla compatibility, I was thinking maybe I just won't compile the script and not update it for vanilla, but it honestly feels really gross to think about, like, having the same script but different run depending on the engine. So I don't know. If it comes to that, I'm tempted to just leave the Lua approach, honestly. I really wish that past me would have put, like, the record ID here of each of these instead of just the ref num, but it is what it is, because I can't for the life of me really remember who these NPCs were. But okay, let's try to use this. Okay. We'll see what happens. Lua is disabled. Okay. I just needed that sanity check. Let's go in there one more time.
Look alive, prisoner. Focus now.
Yes.
Tell me your name.
No, you.
Yes, that matches what's in the paperwork. Let's confirm the rest of our records. has evidently been called for by someone very high-ranking. I'll need you to confirm that information before I let you go. Okay, I'm unlocking the door. Here, I've been instructed to give you these things. No, you don't know anything further about them.
Oh, God. Ooh, how depressing. Okay. There we go. So should be able to get them to run after me again by kind of creeping over here. And we can... Huh, yeah, it didn't seem to work. Because here they come. So I guess the next thing I'm interested to do, and I definitely can't do here on the stream, is create a development build of OpenMW where I adjust the code of the engine to allow for more than the current maximum of the processing range, bump that up, go through here, and can I get, you know, this lady to beat me with her sword? But yeah, it's way too much to try and compile OpenMW on stream. I've done it before. Okay, shoot. All right, I'm gonna ship this one as is with the Lua approach. Because I'm not sure, like, you know, this doesn't seem to work, first off. And I'm not sure. I think our theory about the actor processing range is a good one. You know, maybe we're not accurate to Morrowind.exe in that regard. Seems to be the case based on this bug, because I'm telling you, you run this with Old Wind, it's going to behave properly. All right, so yeah, I'm going to go ahead and ship this. And this will be my... This FF7 Voices of the Life stream. Mad props. Great album. OC remix, people. Real good album. Okay, yeah, I guess so. Ship this out there. And actually, before I do that, let's do just for future me to remember, yeah, to get that custom OpenMW build going, bump up the processing range, you know, load up the mod. Does it, you know, is that it? And if it is, then it's a pretty clear discrepancy, you know, and that's the issue, but yeah, hard to say. At least with this change, you know, minimally invasive Lua will precisely deactivate the concerned actors, and it's, you know, Todd would approve of it as a solution, so it's, you know, probably not something that we want to live with forever, but it'll do the job, and it's just totally not needed for Morrowind.exe. Those folks can straight up just ignore it and get on with their lives if they were using this mod. Okay. We got the potato throttling, we sure do. Wow, that was fun. Cool. Relatively normal for now. Let's see. Next up is run. Let's get that teed up. I did a couple of things here, and like really the big exciting change that's to come is Fall Children's running animation. That's probably going to be one of the next things I work on. Didn't squeeze that in yet. Instead, I made a couple of other definitely unrelated changes, but whoops. We can look at those in more detail, but one of the changes in particular was to have sprinting actually give you progress for your skill level up progress for athletics. In particular, like early on, if you have a low athletics and acrobatics, there's like not a lot of incentive really to sprint because it just like chews up a bunch of fatigue and you don't really get much of a buff. So the change of, hey Sophie, yeah, glad you're here. It's good to be here. Thank you for hopping on. It's so good to see you. And so yeah, the change of giving XP for sprinting though, you know, kind of makes it worth doing a little bit. Even if you don't have much of a speed buff, even if you don't have a lot of fatigue, at least like you're getting XP for it, right? There is one caveat, because why wouldn't there be? And that caveat is, if, like me, you're a user of natural character growth and decay, the expected XP boost won't be applied, and I'm actually working with MYM on an update to natural character growth and decay to allow mods to, you know, kind of do their own growth ratio if they want to, you know. And I made a small change to natural growth and decay. I'm not sure it's the best approach, really, but so yeah, MYM, we're talking it through. We'll figure out, you know, what's the best approach. But yeah, here we go. This came up again. Better charge-in detection. Can forget the username. I'm so sorry, but somebody on Discord requested this. Disable jumping while sprinting, so that's in this release. As I just said, sprinting raises the athletic skill with a configurable skill gain value. And again, pending update to natural character growth and decay, so that they can play happily together. And I raised the maximum buff to 2,000 because why not? And especially once we get once we get a cool animation, it you know, like the visual feeling of sprinting is just awesome, especially you get at like a speed, like unrealistic speed like 2,000. So yeah, there we go. Let's get a formatting bump in here. Ooh, look at that. Not that though. What was I doing here? Oh, okay. Yeah, I was trying to work on another feature request by the same person that requested disabling jumping. I didn't quite get that done, or rather, I just didn't really test it a lot. So I'm actually going to back that out, and I'm going to revisit the thread. But I did want to, let's see here. I did test this. Why did I comment these out? Oh, right. Yeah, because these are like message box messages. We don't want these. I'm going to straight up delete those. Oh, man, down throttling. Okay, so yeah, let's not just comment them. Let's delete them. Oops. Yeah. Just call it cleanup. That's what it be. Cleanup. And let's come on here to our GitLab. Cool. And I'll be announcing these different mod updates on Discord as well in the related channels. Whew, brutal. There we go. All right. Let's Push the tag, huh? And so, yeah, 1.4 update for Run. Going to be pretty exciting. We're going to, I don't know, maybe next week, maybe the week after, we'll implement that on the stream. Only kind of messed around with the animation API, but Fall Children more or less like had it working on like an earlier revision. So we can just look at, you know, their code diff and go from there. Cool, okay. I've gotten copyright dinged for this. The Final Fantasy arpeggio. I'll probably get dinged for this one too. Even though it's not actually a Square Enix track. Yeah, thank you, Altariel. So almost certainly what that is the FOV widening. If you I'm curious if it still happens with you. If you disable the FOV widening, and that's just like an unfortunate side effect of raising the FOV in OpenMW. I don't think they really intend you to do it dynamically the way I'm doing it. I'd probably get scolded by certain people for doing that. So it is what it is. But yeah, I get that too. All that to say, I get that too. And as best as I can tell, it's the come on. As best I can tell, it's the FOV change. Did I not push the tag? One approach too is you could maybe reduce the FOV widening a little bit. It's unfortunate because that's a big part, in my opinion, of like the visual effect of sprinting. Time to get good at graphics programming and figure out why. I probably won't be doing that anytime soon, unfortunately. I think I'm too much of a brainlet for that. One more down. And one thing about those stutters too that I saw is you would get like a pretty nasty initial stutter, but then if you stop sprinting and then yeah, totally. If you stop sprinting and then sprint again, it shouldn't stutter the second time because you kind of have like those objects cached or whatever in some way. Yeah, Gonzo, that's it. Of course, that's true, I think, because, right, like, it stutters because, like, there's a hit from having to render even this much more stuff. I'm seeing it interestingly with JBM, my JBM playthrough, which, you know, doesn't have that much... You know, there's normal maps, so maybe that makes a difference, but other than that, it's like vanilla textures. But, you know, maybe it's a combination of like a pretty... I'm using a pretty long view distance and object paging, min size, and so forth. Wow, okay, it took so long to get here. So the next two are actually new mods that I created, and haven't released yet. I'm not actually sure about... So both of these mods are technically ready to go. And indeed, Permadeath I've actually already pushed to GitLab. I just haven't really announced it. Let's take a look at it, though. Hostile Permadeath. I don't normally like to name mods after myself, but like Hostile felt appropriate for a Permadeath mod. And there's nothing really crazy going on here. We just, I use a 1 second interval run repeatedly check here where I look at the player's health. The reason I don't use the died event, in case you're wondering, why don't you use the died event? Well, I'm glad you asked. Because died kicks in like way too late for me to prevent the load your save game. You know, if you've ever died in Morrowind, I'm surely you have. It'll pop up that you want to load a save game thing, and when died happens, it's too late to delete the save such that won't pop up. So that's why I'm doing it on this 1 second delay. I have a cursed idea. FOV. Zoom into. So that's an interesting idea. My mod, as well as Solta's mod that implement zooming in for like a bow aiming feature, do so by actually like manipulating field of view. So you like shrink the field of view to fake zooming in. So like all that to say, I'm not sure if there is another way of zooming in aside from already manipulating the FOV. There is an option in Run where you can make it zoom in. That's actually one of the settings that's built in. And so instead of widening the FOV, it will narrow the FOV, and that logically should mitigate the FPS change drop, rather. I should try that. My next session, I'm going to try that. Anyways, though, back to the permadeath. So yeah, we noticed the player's health getting to 0. And then when that happens, you know, some stuff happens. We show, we pick, you know, we have to say the right message here. So we try to do that. We show a message, and we send a menu event that I called Nuke Saves. And it does what you think it does. Deletes all the saves. I benchmarked this with like a couple potato mode. I benchmarked this with I don't know, like 300 saves, and I mean, it's instant, you know, like milliseconds even to delete that many saves. So super effective. The one reservation I had about this mod, though, is like, would it warrant a name change? Maybe not to be permadeath centric, but like game mode. Provide different game modes. What do you mean by that? Well, so maybe there could be like a hardcore mode where your character gets like a hardcore label until you die, and it doesn't nuke all your saves. It just, you know, strips you of your hardcore label. So, you know, less intense and hostile than permadeath, but still kind of like, haha, you know, I played without dying, and here's my proof, you know. So that's why I was a little hesitant to just release this. Maybe I thought we could change the name and kind of slightly increase the scope and call it like, I don't know, hostile game modes or something. But yeah, when I pitched the idea to another friend, John, I doubt you're watching, but hey, you know, he mentioned that like some kind of a hardcore mode might be cool. So I don't know. I think I might go back to the drawing board on that one and name it, you know, and it'll be like one of those cursed mods that has multiple mods in one. And, you know, we'll have permadeath, we'll have hardcore mode, whatever else. So yeah, I think I am going to hold off on this one for now. Let's come back here to the update center and just make sure run came out. Boom, there we go. Okay. So yeah, I'm gonna hold off on this one, and I think I will repackage it and do like a hardcore mode or something like that. Only friendly autosaves. Yeah. Well, so okay, can you explain what you mean by that exactly? It's probably not that hard. Do you mean like you can only save using the autosaves and not by hitting escape, and we would like, I don't know, like automatically delete those should they be found, or what are you thinking? And so let's tee up the next and final mod I want to look at before we actually get to the configurator. Okay. Oh, okay. I actually really like that idea. Yeah, I actually see. So yeah, you're just reinforcing the idea that it should be maybe like different game modes, different ways of handling or preventing saving. We're gonna talk more about that, friend. So yeah, just you've just convinced me that yeah, it's right to hold off on that. So the final mod though is one that I've been working on over the last week or so, and it's a Lua rewrite of the old Wandering Creature Merchants mod. And I know Gonzo, my guy here, has recently done a puzzle box randomizer in Lua, and that was a big inspiration for me to even think about this concept, so thank you for that. But yeah, let's take a quick look at that. I don't even have it. Oh, no, yes I do. Cool, okay. Let's go in-game. And if you are an astute observer, you might have noticed already some console output in my terminal here relating to that. But as you may have guessed, this particular mod randomizes the location of the creature merchants and also adds a third creature merchant. Absolutely, yeah. Nothing prevents the user from like externally doing that. That's right. So there's only so much I can do about that. Get me in the game. Before we load in the game, though, you can definitely see like my console noise here. Basically loading up the Cliff Racer merchant and also setting the different spawn places for Creeper and the Mud Crab here. And so the difference, aside from like simply just being written in Lua, why did you rewrite this in Lua, Johnny? Well, thank you for asking. There's a good reason, I swear. I'm actually the author of one original randomizer mod. Yeah, totally. It's like, yeah, it's just it's a thing. Yeah, Gonzo, absolutely, sure. And that's because we're doing this in Lua. Thank you. You kind of like buried the lead on why Lua. We totally could do that, and we can talk more for sure. I'm open to the idea of making the gold configurable even. Anyway, so I'm the author of an original randomizer mod, and I've edited the Taxman randomizer as well. And just as somebody who includes, the randomizers in our mod lists, I've interacted. Yeah, that's a fantastic idea, honestly, Gonzo. Thank you. I've interacted with a lot of users who use our randomizers, and they can't find the thing that's been randomized, and then they assume, perhaps rightfully, that there's a bug or something. And that's like definitely a major problem, right? It's possible to do this pattern and get it wrong. And I've done it. An earlier version of one of my Ajira's reports randomizers actually had like 1 or 2 spawns that were bugged. But when we do this kind of thing with Lua, it allows the possibility of a few things, including but not limited to having console commands, for example, to get a hint about where the creatures are. So, for example, where is... Oops. You can say, where is Mud Crab? And then you get a hint here. And if the hint isn't good enough for you, we can even go send player. If you're a filthy cheater, we can use send player to Mud Crab. And here I go. And he's smoking a pipe. So yeah. Let's go send player to the Fraser. Yeah. That's a great suggestion, and that's a great suggestion. Actually, I never thought of that. It does kind of tread the line of like breaking the fourth wall, but like maybe it could be done tastefully. I'm definitely going to make a Discord thread for this, and if I forget to note it down, please remind me. That's a great idea. I've thought of a few ways to kind of like lessen the burden of having things randomized on people, and that's definitely a creative way. So anyway, here's our Cliff Racer merchant. Let me, oops. Come on, Griuk, however you pronounce this name. Oh my gosh. The throttling. Okay. So yeah, he's got 20,000 gold. That was a design decision by Ezzy, actually. I just left this NPC exactly how Ezzy had him. Yeah, that's a really great idea. I think we could work with that and have it be tasteful for sure. So anyways, in addition though to the kind of cheating commands, there's also this add spawn function that I added, which as you may have guessed, will allow a user to write a third-party mod that can add additional spawns. I thought about like adding TR and Provincial spawns, but like that would be kind of insane. It's already maybe a little like definitely lowers the likelihood of seeing any of these creatures by moving them around, you know, and I feel like possibly moving them to TR also is a little insane, but I don't know, if people request that, I'd be willing, and if they wanted to contribute to finding a location, I would be willing to add them for sure. But nonetheless, you don't need me to add them. You could write your own mod and use this add spawn interface function and add yourself the spawn. So yeah, that's giving people visibility into where the creatures are randomized to, and being able to add externally spawn locations were two overarching goals that I wanted for this. And it's, you know, it's, I think, reasonably done, more or less works. Let's one final demonstration before we context shift out of this is I will demonstrate. You can also enable log output, and it'll give you a log entry every time the creatures move too, as like a hint if you're somebody who needs to like keep track of them. One day. Time check interval 1. And can't read what that is. Yeah, actually I do. Debug messages. Okay, we want that. Time scale 2. And so yeah, we can see here, moved the all the creatures. Whoa. Let's slow this down a little bit. We got the go home log spam in the mix too. But yeah, you can see moving cliff racer, moving mud crab, moving creeper, blah blah blah. In the log, it actually tells you where they're going to. And if I'm facing one of them, which one of the mud crab locations is right here, he's never gonna move. Just to kind of prevent the like kind of jarring effect of, oh god. To prevent the kind of jarring effect of like it's moving when I'm looking at it kind of thing. You know, if I, oh geez. If I look away, he'll move. There we go. Oh jeez. So yeah, and the last thing that I didn't really go over or show, but there is like in the settings menu a setting to just turn off the mod. So if you're like tired of them moving around, you can do that too. If you're a poor mod list auto installer user and you didn't know you were getting this and you didn't read the FAQ, and then you're mad because the mud crab's in the wrong place, you can at least turn it off and then use the console to cheat to the location. So yeah, this is I haven't even done an initial commit on this one. Jeez Louise. Might not actually launch this one here. What are we looking at time-wise? Okay. Wow, I didn't even... We looked at this, didn't get to look at that. I'm getting a little hungry for lunch, so I think we're going to end the stream here. But let's wrap up. Let's take a quick look at the rest of the things, because certainly I really wanted to take a peek at Just Beautiful Morrowind, which, as the description says, it builds on Just Good Morrowind. We add BCOM, we add Tamriel Rebuilt, Provincial, Skyrim Home of the Nords, and a couple select quest mods, and by that I mean AFresh, which I pulled thanks to great feedback from people. I pulled out of Just Good Morrowind to keep it like just Morrowind content-wise. But I feel like now, you know, it's fair game to add them onto this list, right? Because we already have, we already have BCOM and such in the mix, so why not add AFresh? Ooh, yeah, no, that's fantastic. Having the blood stain or some kind of a visual clue that something happened and you should be looking around, right? uh, yeah, oh, that Bethesda Firemouth plugin. The unofficial plugins are really a collection of just good Morrowind, right? Not to pick on it too much, but yeah. So really, it is much the same mod list, but like with Tamriel Rebuilt, Provincial, Skyrim, Home of the Nords, AFresh. Oh, and there's some cutting room floor that I threw in here too, just because, I figured, we're going all the way. Like, let's restore some content. Let's make Redania a thing, Out Redania, so on. So yeah, I've been like casually testing this myself. I love it personally. I did an Anvil start with Provincial Beginning, and it was cool. I'm really enjoying it. There's just something to like the vanilla, like the vanilla feel of the game where we haven't like tried to really balance the heck out of it. But like with just absolute crap ton of content. So, yeah. Really, I think maybe in the next Momo website update we'll launch this list. I feel like I think it's done or very close to being done. I'm confident about it at least. So yeah, keep an eye out for that. Ronick asked me to look at Protected Beasts, and I don't think we're going to have time to do that today, but I am going to go ahead and let's get that up here on the screen here. Nice. Okay, you've been working on it. Cool. Very cool. Wow, we have a website too even. Nice. Wow, cool. Okay. I'll definitely get some eyeballs on this for sure. I just don't think we're going to have time here on the stream. But yeah, look forward to this one. Does what you might be thinking it does. We got boots for the awkwardly footed. New Tamriel Rebuilt. I also really wanted to look at here on the stream, but we'll save that for when we add we'll add Go Home support for the new locations on stream, and we'll look at it then. And I'll hook up my gaming PC so we won't have these performance stutters. But let's take a quick look at their blog post here. And again, mad props and congratulations to the team and everybody who worked on this. Just super exciting content. I'm super excited to like plug this into my game. I haven't even really done a lot of, I've been focusing on Provincial. I haven't done a lot of Tamriel Rebuilt, but really looking forward to see this. So you as well should check it out. May modify. I feel like, well, what can we do? We can just go to Nexus. We can look at Morrowind. Oh wow, that's neat. I think Atahualpa pointed me at this one now, actually, if I think about it. Oh, interesting. Dynamic sounds. I think Atahualpa showed me this one, too. Nice. See, this is what I want to see. Creeper is a Minecraft creeper. Oh, my God. This has got to be in the shitposting mod list. Wow. Holy shit. That's awesome. Well, oh my. I wasn't sure if looking at new stuff on Nexus would give me an immediately great picture of like mods on releases. Maybe there's like a tag I have to look at or something. Yeah, I wanted to take a closer. Is there anybody who's in the chat, any cool mods that I should look at before we hop off here? And then I will say, yeah, nice. That's like the one thing about Oblivion Remaster that makes me really curious to try it. I didn't pick it up. I don't know if my graphics card can run it. But I've heard something about the leveling changing, and it made me very happy. But okay, yes. And so moving on, I had an idea for my Abandoned Flat Containers mod. Let's see here. Yeah. So it has like an item sorter system, and I thought it would be cool to implement like a chest where when you put something into the chest, the item sorter will ignore those things, and then you can have like a reset button to like wipe the ignore list or whatever. that's something that I'll probably implement on the stream too. But yeah, okay, well, here we are then. Thank you so much for hopping on. It's great to see you all, and we'll see you on the next stream next weekend. Peace.